Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring BoneCarlos in the top right corner playing our Periwinkle Protoss, and in the bottom left we have Blink, our green Protoss. It is a PvP, oh joy, oh glee, oh heartfelt jubilation. I do not like PvP. It's really boring and it's very standard. I mean, that's one of the cool things about PvP is it's super standard. You totally know what your opponent's going to do unless he's not going to do it and is going to try for some shenanigans. At which point, if you see any form of deviation from the standard build, you're like, oh, shenanigans. I'm going to go home and I'm going to prepare for said shenaniganry. But BoneCarlos is throwing down that first pylon in the top tier. And I expect Blink, yep, Blink is following suit right behind, both of them at the 9 supply point. It looks like Blink's just a little bit farther behind BoneCarlos on micro, probably because BoneCarlos is a better typer. He put Nevis Beacon typing tutor, if you guys remember that game. That was a terrible game. I like that game. I like that game. I like StarCraft 2, it's a great game. And this game is actually hosted by GameFAQS from none other than BoneCarlos. He's put together the tourney. It's just a tourney going on at the forum thread website. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you pop on over there, sign up next time. I'm sure they'll put together another one as soon as this one's done, because it's been wildly successful. A lot of people are playing, a lot of people have dropped out after being knocked out, but I'm really surprised at how many people have stuck through it. So it's really neat, and we're actually in the second tier because this is a best of 3 between BoneCarlos and Blink. So we're going to see quite a lot of these two players, and it sounds like they're up to some playful banter. I think they're talking about. I saw naked, and that attracted my eye, so it could be that they were talking about. So I don't know, girls. I don't know. So we're talking about the gateways, though. We got a gateway, we got an assimilator, we got another pylon. In a couple seconds, we're going to have a cybernetics core thrown down somewhere in this area. It looks like BoneCarlos is hiding his probe up in the corner of Blink's base. Meanwhile, Blink has his probe showing off all the dance moves around the dance floor, scouting to make sure that there's no double gas up. That cybernetics core has been thrown down, as well as a cybernetics core for Blink. So both players are pretty much neck and neck. Oh, it looks like BoneCarlos threw down a pylon in the top right corner of Blink's base. Yeah, his cybernetics core just got started though, so he's not going to be able to warp in units for another 2 minutes, and even if he did, he's only got a single gateway, so that's pylon's more of a long-term sort of thing. Maybe let his probe die off so that nobody suspects anything on the inside. Another place that you can throw it down is right here, which it goes unscattered a lot of the time, as long as you don't, kite your probe in that area. Regardless, this probe takes a couple of hits from the Zealot. It looks like the Stalker first is coming out from BoneCarlos. Yeah, there you go. He's got it rallied right on top of the probe, so that probe's going to go down in short order once that gateway comes out. And this is the exciting time of the build. We have the cybernetics core out. It's working on its warp gate tech. What's going to be interesting is once that probe goes down or retreats, and it's retreating right now, we're going to see some tech structures come out. Or you're going to see maybe another gateway. It could be just a 2-gate for a fast expand. It could be a lot of different things. BoneCarlos lamenting the fact that his pylon has been scouted by a Zealot. I'm not sure if it got chased over there from the probe. Probe's still alive. Yeah, the probe's over here in the left side of the mineral line. But with that pylon going down and warp gate tech not quite done, I think BoneCarlos got his hopes up that he was going to be able to rush with maybe a 4-gate sort of tech build. He only has 3 gateways up right now. Still could be a 3-gate fast robo or maybe a fast nexus. I'm not sure. That stalker from BoneCarlos is scouting around behind the mineral line, just to double check that there's no shenanigans going on. It looks like shenanigans is down here in the bottom right corner, and he is going to be moving up shortly, probably to plant a proxy pylon of his own. Blink's not making any motions like he wants to throw down a nexus. It looks like BoneCarlos is floating enough money to do just that. Blink has thrown down a robotics facility though, and he's mining off of both gas. BoneCarlos hasn't gotten that second gas, which tells me it's a fast expand. It really does. He's not using that gas for anything else besides gateway units. Doesn't have a forge down for any sort of tech or anything like that. So unless he throws down another assimilator and another tech structure, I'm thinking we're looking at a faster expand. I mean, he's got 700 minerals saved up. What is he going to use that for? Blink, though, 2-gate into Robo. He's got that Immortal on the way. 2 sentries down already. Going to be storing up plenty of energy so that they can throw down a plethora of force fields. Oh, wow. Robotics Bay coming out of Blink, as well as a Nexus coming out of BoneCarlos. I don't really know which one's the better choice. I think BoneCarlos isn't going to have an issue with holding off any aggression coming out of Blink for a couple of seconds. I mean, he doesn't have much out right now. Yeah, he's going to have an Immortal, but there's only 2 Warp Gates out. Once the Robotics Bay comes out and we start seeing Colossi, maybe BoneCarlos will have an issue. But at that point, I expect the Nexus to at least be moderately defended and a better number of Stalkers going to be out on the field. BoneCarlos does have 6 Stalkers out right now, the other 3 coming down. An Observer is coming out from Blink's robotics facility, going to finish at pretty much the exact same time that Robo Bay finishes. That's a really good timing, though a bit of a waste on the Chrono Boost for the Observer, probably just trying to make it so that it was available as soon as, well, no, he's getting an Immortal out too. Gravitic Drive, the one for the Warp Prism, unless I am very much mistaken, so maybe a Warp Play. Oh, this could be a Robo Warp Play. You got some Immortals out on the field. You're going to have 2 as soon as the drive is finished. So he can have that Warp Prism filled up with 2 Immortals, and he could, that equals a lot of dead probes, especially back home where there's nothing to defend him. Yeah, he's got that robotics facility being built right now. Bit of a poke at the front, but with 2 sentries out on the field, both of which have pretty much maximum energy, they're going to be able to hold down that front door for a very long time, especially without an Observer to scout the high ground. Warp Prism coming out, though. Once that Warp Prism pops, we've got 2 more gateways being added, so it's a 4-gate total with that Robo. Probably going to get loaded up with the 2 Immortals, go and drop them off, and then warp in a buttload of Stalkers. And it's going to be pretty devastating, especially with the Observer scouting the high ground, knowing exactly where to drop those units. 2 Stalkers being warped in on the high ground for BoneCarlos. Maybe he's afraid of some sort of drop play. It could be that he just suspects that Blink is going to be using some sort of unorthodox attack route, but probably a good idea to keep some units at home. Definitely a good idea to keep some units at home because he's going to be in trouble in a couple seconds. That Warp Prism is out. Going to be loading up with both of the Immortals, I hope, and we get to see an Immortal drop play. Even Immortal drop against this army would be devastating, because they attack very, very quickly in that style, and you can keep them alive for a significantly longer amount. Only problem is those Stalkers would make short work of that Warp Prism, so I think this is the wiser choice, especially when coupled with 2 Zealots poking at the front door. Oh, you know what? I bet the reason they're in... No, they're not. I thought maybe I missed a attack from the Zealots beforehand, and with 2 Stalkers just idly watching as the probes go down, those 2 Zealots go to work, already taking down 3 of the probes as they turn and fight rather than allow the Stalkers to actually deal up with them. One of the Zealots is going to go down. Warp Prism is in position, though, as soon as... Oh, a double warping from the Stalkers. The 2 Immortals, though, going to work on those Stalkers. Wow, look at all that damage. No, focusing down the pylon instead. Oh, wow. They get surrounded by the probes, but probes against Immortals, not the most effective thing in the world. Still some poking at the front door, I'm sure, but really what we want to pay attention to are the Immortals, which have absolutely ravaged that supply line. I mean, 32 to 23. Even with the other expansion, 11 workers killed. That's pretty harsh. You can see that the mineral income still kind of favors BoneCarlos, but that's just because he managed to pull out some of his probes. Those Immortals have definitely paid for themselves, though, especially with it waiting in the wing. It's going to be dropping down. Have no issues with these Zealots. Got to be careful, though. There's plenty of those Stalkers still on the field. Colossus is being built, though, for Blink. Back at home, oh, a huge warp-in of Zealots just to support the structures. Wow, a warp-in of Zealots for both players, actually. And some good micro there, picking up the Immortals once they lost their shields. Have to be very careful with that Warp Prism, though. It's going to be taking a lot of damage from those 4 Stalkers. Oh, and it's running right in front of BoneCarlos. Stalkers coming home, oh, and it goes down. That is too bad. That is too bad. 42 to 23 chrono boosting out of those probes. BoneCarlos has rebounded very, very quickly. Total number of Stalkers is 14 to 1. But this is your real issue. Those Zealots are going to be a fantastic meat shield for those Colossi, and they're going to focus down those Stalkers in very short order. Going to be able to do quite a lot of damage. I don't think, yeah, I did not see the range upgrade, so those Stalkers are going to be very vulnerable with their 6 range to the 6 range of the Stalker. Once one fires on one, the other can fire on the other. And then with the Immortals coming out, it's just going to bolster the army. Wow, Twilight Council too, going to get some Blink on those Stalkers. It'll be incredibly flexible. At the same time, Blink is getting his Nexus, so pretty soon he'll be caught up in the economy. So hopefully BoneCarlos can capitalize on the momentary edge that he has. I have to admit, Blink was winning that game until he lost that Immortal. He was doing some fantastic harassment, and he forced BoneCarlos to pull back. And so he did quite a lot of damage. But BoneCarlos responded very, very well, pulled his stalkers back, and with the unit composition they had, he shut down that drop play. It was very nice. The Zealots coming in, absorbing quite a lot of damage, a lot of stalkers behind, just to throw on the force fields, hopefully going to trap some of these. Some of those stalkers, he does trap them. Oh, they're very exposed, but so are the Colossi. I have to be careful. I have to pay very close attention to their health. No, the stalkers do not focus down the Colossi. They get eaten alive by the Zealots. The 2 Immortals on the high ground just ravaging one of the Colossi, taking down its shields in no time, but unfortunately they get surrounded by the Zealots and they make short work of them. One Immortal on the high ground doing quite a lot of damage to the sentries, but again, force Zealots taking it around. Very, very bad. Good play out of both players. BoneCarlos doing a fantastic job taking out the Warp Prism. Blink, awesome harassment from that Warp Prism. Very successful and very effective. And then a very nice transition to those Colossi. So that's game 1. If game 2 and 3, if there is a 3, are anything like that, totally worth watching. I'm not biased at all. If you guys have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit one way or another. I will see you guys later. I'm Ibigandscary. Bye.